So since we do not want to waste on time, so we can start and rest of the participants can join in between. Is that okay?
That's perfect with me. Yes, we said we have an hour for this, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool, cool, cool.
Sure.
Do I introduce myself, or is that something you do? You let me know.
I'll do it for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. So, um, we have advocates with us right now. So we would like to welcome our speaker for today, Mr. Jose Ucar. He's the renowned TEDx speaker and public speaking and communication trainer, founder of Finding Excellence. Mr. Ucar would be speaking on effective communication in virtual environment. And Mr. Ucar, we have advocates team with us. They are into BPO media and event management. So I'll go ahead and make you the host, and so that it would be easy for you to do the presentation. And if that is okay, if someone would, you would be able to admit people, right? If people come after this.
Yes, I'll think about it. If they're naughty, I won't let them in. But yeah, I'll be kind. I'm going to behave today. I'm going to be nice to all of you because you're joining the session for about an hour. You're going to be listening to me. So you're very, very good people already.
Yes. So I'll make you the host. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Just give me a second. Done, Mr. Ucar.
Right. I'm the host. Well, I've been introduced today already. My name is Jose. So one thing, okay, if we ever have the opportunity to talk again during today, okay, you are going to call me Jose. There is no sir, there's nothing like that. Not today anyway, not for an hour. Then if you decide to keep on calling me sir, that's fantastic. But today I'm going to be calling you by your names and you call me by your names. And the whole idea is that we have, I would say, a good time, because if we're not having fun, then what's the point, okay? And I know this is supposed to be also professional and we want to take some things away. So how often are you joining Zoom calls? I'm going to need your participation, not all at the same time, of course, but how often are you joining Zoom calls nowadays during the crazy pandemic? How often? And if you can raise your hand, or you can just, unmute yourself, or just give me like three in the whole year. How many? Did I see like one a day?
1 or 2 in a day.
Okay, there's like 10 in there, 10 in a day. Okay, so there's from 10, from 1. I have
4 to 5.
4 to 5. Right. Anybody else? There is plenty going on, and we're all doing this on a regular basis. Okay, so I've got another question for you. Would you like me to then run a PowerPoint presentation? Or would you like this to be a dynamic interaction in which we really learn to interact remotely? Because I guarantee you many of the conversations you're having on a regular basis incorporate the presentation, and you see the PowerPoint and the slides go and blah, 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 blah. And no wonder why, we all lose motivation, we lose connection, we feel a bit like we are on our own, even though we are on our own. You guys are lucky because you are in an office, you are enjoying people. I'm by myself in this environment. I just got that cactus over there. Right. So, well, you haven't answered my question. Are you going to answer it? Would you like a PowerPoint, or would you like the opposite?
The opposite.
The opposite so you want the PowerPoint?
Yep.
No, not PowerPoint.
No PowerPoint. No PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm just going to delete that. Oh, wow. So you're giving me the wrong answer. You're supposed to say, yes, PowerPoint, and then because I've got it all prepared. Okay. So yeah, what happens with human interactions? You never know what's going to happen. Even though I'm giving you options, you could have said, yeah, the PowerPoint. I may have the PowerPoint or not. So flexibility is going to be key anytime. So today I'm going to start, and I'm going to touch on 3 elements, and depending on how this evolves, we may do or may not do some exercises. Let's see how it goes. Because the first one is curiosity. Okay? A key element whenever we're communicating on a one-to-one, remotely, or in person. And the first question I'm going to ask you, because there is no point in doing this if you haven't got an intention. And I'll tell you more about my intention later on, which is going deeper into the communication. But yeah, who's curious here? Yeah, now everybody's curious, of course. So let's test how curious you really are. So you're there, And now you're listening to me because I'm the speaker. So let's see, what could you say about me based on what you can see in my environment? And my environment is everything. My environment is what I'm wearing, the background, the cactus, whatever else is out there. And I know I cannot share you the rest of the place, but what can you tell from what you see now? Because we are all creating an impression. There is always a first impression. And if you're curious and focus on the other person, you can learn great things in terms of how you communicate. So what can you say about me? Apart from my name, of course, that you can see in there. I'm not interested about that. What else can you say about me as a person?
You read a lot of books.
Okay, yeah, fine. I read a lot of books. Okay.
Fan of Minions?
Yeah, one in a million. Yeah, that's me. Okay. Anything else?
You like
Painting
painting?
lover.
I like painting.
Yeah, we are painting.
Okay. Right. Anything else? There is the cactus, which has got a story. I mentioned it a few times. It's not even my cactus, by the way. It's my brother's, but it looks nice in there because it brings a bit of green. So, I guess you could say that I like nature, or I like desert, or I'm craving for water. So, you might be right or wrong in what you're guessing, because it is a guess. You don't know really, but it means that you are focusing on me at the moment. You're focusing on the other person. So next time you are in any environment, especially nowadays Zoom call, take some time to look and, I wonder. And again, I'm looking at a drawing that you've got in the background, and your name is Janraj.
Dhanraj.
Janraj. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
So
it's Dhanraj. Yeah,
Dhanraj.
Dhanraj. Yeah.
Perfect. And I'm seeing you've got a drawing in the background. And if I was speaking just to you at the moment, and you've got that, it looks like a tree. And right away, that could spark a conversation between us, in which I get to learn more about you, because that means something, I'm sure. Would you mind you sharing quickly, because there's lots of us in here. Quickly, what does that do behind you?
Well, that's been made by my team. Okay, who work in the night shift. It's basically a pictorial representation of the project that we have in. Okay, so it gives you a small summary about the client, their services, and etc. Those things.
Okay, so now I know that you're a manager, okay, and that's the pictorial representation as well. You've got a team. I don't know how many people you've got in there, but I can also tell that that what you've got in the background has got something to do with you. And I'm learning right away something that I wouldn't do otherwise if you were running a PowerPoint presentation or things like this. And I know PowerPoints are important, okay? Don't get me wrong, because then sometimes we need to convey certain things. But now we're speaking about curiosity. So what can I say about Vipika? Vipika?
Yes, Vipika.
Vipika.
You're going good.
Okay, well, great. Thank you very much. So at the moment, I've only seen like a big smile since we started. So I guess I can assume that you like having fun. You like these kind of interactions. You like to have a silly person saying silly things in front of you. I don't know what else is out there. There is white. I can only see this bit of your face, but hey, you seem to be very approachable. Okay? So my point is getting curious about the person you've got in front of you. And this is exactly what we're going to do now, because when you are curious and you open up a conversation, that is not just today because I want you to listen to what I've got to say. It's actually very different. I'm here because I want to get to know you. I want to connect with you. And in the process, we all learn. And that's about creating, an environment in which we all support each other. Now think about it. Creating an environment in which we all support each other nowadays, how powerful is that? Instead of just me coming here just because I'm going to present. Instead of actually I'm going to interact. I'm going to check on each one of you and see how you're doing. What's going on? And the background, it's usually one initial step. Some people care about it. Some people have got lights. Some people don't too much. And that all says something about us. And it doesn't mean, as I said before, that it's going to mean exactly what I think it means, but I care about you. I'm interested to see what's going on. I go others, and others, I can only see this part of your face. And there we go, a lovely smile, there we go. So we've got a better view of others as well. Because guys, the impression you give, you're creating a first impression every time you're in front of the camera or every time we go and meet. So I, separately, I would ask you, what's going on? Could you share more of yourself? Because you're limiting us here. Are you sharing? I cannot hear you. Oh, no.
I think there's some problem with his microphone.
Okay, well, there is a problem with the microphone. It doesn't matter. We always have the excuse, oh yeah, the virtual world and things don't work, and that can happen, and that's okay. But everything, if I was just sharing this little bit of my face, that there's got something to do with me. Not right or wrong, actually. There's no right or wrong here. It's just who we are in this moment. Right. So yeah, things obviously you guys are over there, and I'm not gonna get you, but now sometimes I run the dynamic in which we go into breakout rooms, and then we get to experience what it's like, to pay attention to the background of the other person. But we kind of done it, and I'm sure from now on you will do it. Next time you're speaking to a client, you can actually see what else is going on out there. That is just a tiny thing. We're gonna get more and more curious as we go along, because remember what I said about, connecting with the other person, caring for the other individual. We are lonely, generalizing. I am lonely. I've been, since the whole thing in the UK started, the pandemic, back in March, I'm not going out very often. And I'm a guy that loves speaking to people. And now I'm having to do it in this environment. Well, guess what? What could be a drag has turned into an amazing channel for new connections and new opportunities. Because if we didn't have the pandemic today, I couldn't be speaking to you, because maybe I would be out around London or somewhere else. Yeah. So we have got an opportunity to connect better than ever before. So how do we make the most of it? Curiosity, number one. And number two, how often do we ask questions to the person in front of us? And what questions do we ask? Communication can be two ways, and this applies for everything, for our families, for our customers. We go like this. Hello, how are you? Rashmi, how are you today? Or the team is, at Advocates. Hello, how are you? And then you go and say, yeah, good, fine. Yeah, that's it. Very superficial for me. And then I'm thinking about whatever else in my mind. And then I continue. Now you're going to listen to my presentation, whatever it is. So this is what I've got for you to work on today. That's it. What do amazing communicators do? That bit plus everything that's underneath, the deeper level of communication, in which don't just curiosity, we begin paying attention to rapport, all the body language, and I'm going to share this with you now, and that's about the only slide I'm going to be sharing, the levels of influence. Where are the persons or the people operating from? What is their environment like, which we discussed, but then how do they behave? How are we behaving here? What are our skills to do what we do? What kind of beliefs and values do we hold? Who are we? And finally, what drives us? Are you aware of your big why? What is your big why when you wake up in the morning? And do you know your team's big why? Do you know guys working on the Indian, you see, I struggle with the name, but Indian Confederation of Speakers? Help me, Akshita
Indian
or Divya.
Speakers and Coach Forum.
Exactly. So do you guys know your big why? Not the organization's big why, but Divya, when you speak to Akshita, every now and then, do you know her big why? Her purpose? Do you know who she is? Do you know what matters to her? Do you know all of that about each one of you? Do you know that about your customers?
We get to know as and when we interact. So yeah.
Okay, and as and when you interact, and that's very important, as and when we interact, because most of the time we're working, and I get that. So as and when we interact, as and when you interact, what kind of questions do you ask each other? I'm curious, and this is for anybody that wants to answer. When you interact work-related, which is what most of your life, because we're working, every day at least, and I know in India, you guys work long hours, even Saturdays. So maybe you find that you're working what, 80% of your time? So 80% of your time, what kind of questions are you asking each other? When, as and when? So I want to hear, as and when, what kind of questions do you ask each other?
So obviously, if we are communicating, during work hours, it's related to work, either about some clients or so. And when we are on a break, we do obviously talk informal, about friends, family, and how's
All
the situation.
beautiful. It's also superficial. How much do you then know? As I said to you, how often do you sit down with somebody and ask that person, how are you? Okay. And
Okay.
let the person talk. Okay. How are you? And let that person talk. And then follow it with another question and another question. How many questions are you asking whenever you have got that chance to interact? Or are you desperate to tell all the superficial stuff? Or do you really take the moment to say, Prasad, and actually just focus on you and how have you been? What are you doing later? How are you coping with the amount of work? What's going on? I've seen you yesterday and I see you today, and we always change something in our gestures or anything in our face. So that is the kind of conversations I always encourage people to have. And I know we are all rushing because we have got deadlines, and that's absolutely fine. So we stick to that. But then how often are we making time to take care of ourselves and the person that works with us every day? Why do you think, and then I'm going to speak now from work, I'm going to go to marriage life. So many failures. We don't take the time to listen and ask questions. We don't take the time to be vulnerable and say, look, you know what? Even though I'm one in a million, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You are right. And there is something for me to learn. What can be going on in each one of us as we're listening to these things? We all carry things within us. We all carry issues. We all have troubles. We all have negative thoughts. We all, have problems on a daily basis. Then how often are we taking the time, instead of as and when, how about we decide then to agree on a certain time a day, even if it's 5 minutes, to check on each other. Check. No, how are you? Oh, yeah. How okay, let me just look at you guys in here. Sveta? Am I pronouncing that right?
Shweta, yes.
Shweta. Hello.
Yeah, hi,
So,
hi.
hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
So I'm taking 5 minutes and then I say, Shweta, how are you? And then in my mind, I just go, yeah, and I need to do that. And then, okay, yeah, all right. Yeah. Okay, yeah, cool. Well, yeah, fine. Yeah. And then I go. Or, Shweta, how are you?
I am good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm very good, and I'm very excited that I'm having the opportunity to speak to an amazing group of people that otherwise I couldn't have seen or met. So I guess
Thank
I'm grateful for the whole COVID, but that's a different story. So what are you doing as you finish work today?
Yeah, I was into the interview, so I've joined late. Sorry for that.
Okay. Oh no, that's fine. No, I meant what are you doing later on once you finish, listening to me?
I'll be doing reporting for the day,
Okay.
wind up my
And
work.
and then what else? What are you doing in terms, you're working, but after work, what's your life like?
I'll go home, I'll cook food, I'll have, and I'll binge watch something.
Okay. So you'll cook and you'll do what?
I'll just call I'll call my friends. I'll, just check what work I have did and what work I have to do tomorrow. I'll make a list
Okay.
of it and I'll just go to sleep.
That's very cool. So yeah, I guess that's a nice way to go to sleep speaking about work. Okay. I wonder, could you speak about anything else?
No, I think I
No,
just
just
want to
work.
be, satisfied with the work of being productive. If I
Okay.
have been
So
productive
yeah.
today, just making points over that.
No, sure. No, I call my friends, the ones I don't see in Venezuela often, and I call them to speak about work and all the, the stuff and difficult stuff and everything else. So I don't take the time to check with them or anything. Okay. All right. Well, there's some people that speak about work all of their lives, and some people take the time to connect with others.
Yes.
So what do you like to eat? What do you cook? Because I cook as well.
Yeah, I like to cook, fish more. I like seafood. Okay,
And when
so
you're not talking about work, what else are you doing?
I'll be reading book, I'll be writing something,
Oh, okay. So that's all
or
right.
I'll
I'm
be
interested.
binge watching these web series.
Okay. And when you write, what do you write?
I write with the general topics, the day-to-day things happen in my life, or anything inspiration. If I'm going to a market and if I find someone inspire, someone I have inspired. That yesterday I was going back home, and I just saw a girl was, just getting a direction from Google Maps. So I was just hoping ki when will be the time I'll be going, with my boyfriend, just having no directions but a Google Map with me.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. There we go. There we go. There's a bit some eyebrows in there. Oh, okay. Right. Thank you very much for sharing something other than work with us today. So it is possible, and inspiration and things like that. It's amazing what can happen when you take a bit of time and ask some questions without going into the detail. What kind of questions and things like this? Curiosity, having an intention, Shweta, that I want to know more about you, honestly. And then work is good. And I love what I
Yes.
do. And I also want to know what else is out there, because then otherwise I always end up speaking about work, because, then that's all I see. That's all I hear. That's all I breathe. And I'm sure there's something else that fits the soul in order to keep on connecting. Think about this for customers. Think about when you speak to a customer and you ask and you obtain all of this juicy information, yeah? Going back to influencing in marketing, in any industry, you go and get this information, you prepare it, wrap it up nicely, and present it as a proposal. A business proposal, speaking about work again. So you can use it in that sense. Or really to understand, okay, Dan Rush, you can
And
have a go
Raj.
at me, Dan Rush.
Yeah. Yeah. Jose.
So you can use some of this for your team as well. When somebody comes, yeah, I have a problem. And then the usual, I'm generalizing, but sometimes, yeah, come on, get over it because we all have problems type of reaction. What is the problem? Let's find out together what's important for you. And you extract as much information as possible in order to prepare like a nice response for that person that is going to help him or her to continue with their day. Do you know about compound interest? When you put money in the bank and then that interest gives you more interest and more money and more money and more money. This is a question for everybody. Well, I work on the compound effect of connections. Who's curious about this? Should I share a bit more?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm in for.
Advocates. Yeah. Wonderful. Oh, I love it. Advocates. What's your name? The lady in the middle, you always raising your hand. You're muted.
Hi, my name is Shweta.
Is it Shweta as well?
Yes. So we have.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. You made it easier for me. Yay. Well, thank you very much for participating. And what do I mean by this compound when it comes to connections? Think about it this way. If by the time, Vipika, I love that smile. I want to replicate that smile. I'm taking it with me. I'm going to just put it in my pocket. Smiles are super powerful. Others, all of you now starting to smile. I love it. Well, if whenever I interact with you, my intention, I'm going to share my intention, which I didn't share at the very beginning, is to leave each one of you in a different way, a little bit better, a tiny bit better, just like that compound interest that banks don't give you much, right? But that's my intention. I intend just to do a little bit. And as you are a little bit better and know a little bit more about people, how to connect, how to communicate, then you go and impact the person next to you or the next person you communicate with positively as well. So you leave them a little bit better. And then that person goes and interact with another one a little bit better and a little bit better. Think about the compound effect of all of us leaving people a little bit better. How is that different as opposed to each one of us coming and present or be on a Zoom call with an intention of just giving you my PowerPoint, giving you my points and everything else? You will still deliver the content, yet the connection is going to be different. Why do you think some people are so successful and people want to work with them and people want to be around them? They are an inspiration, as Reta said. They love people. They want to be surrounded by them. They leave people a bit better. That's why I go back to my granddad. I love the guy because every time I met him, he put a smile on my face. How would I not want to be with my granddad? But then my grandma, she wasn't the same. So my grandma was actually quite the opposite. So every time I would go to my grandma, she would start complaining, oh, your granddad and this and that and you and your mom and everybody. Then I loved my grandma as well. I didn't want to be close to her as often. So going back to people that are negative and positive as well, and it all can change. So how are we doing? How are your minds in terms of, everything that I've been saying? I would like to ask you if say the connection got disrupted now and you don't get to see me until next time, because it can happen. The light, the internet, who knows? Woo! Halloween times, yeah? So what are you taking away so far? And I would like each one of you just to give me one thing that you're taking away. Your thing. One answer I don't like is, yeah, just like that one person said. No, I want your answer. Even if it's similar to the other person's, I don't care. And they just go, Jose, this, Jose, that, yeah. And then in that sense, we all benefit from it as well. So who would like to go first?
I would say, like, you've got to be a good listener. I mean, like, it's not that every time you have to speak, you've got to listen to, like, cause you never know the person whom you are talking to wants to talk, but like, they haven't got the right opportunity or the right person, who would be listening to. And of course, when you're listening to somebody, you don't have to interrupt them. You don't have to put in your things over there. It's just it just has to be like, just listen. Because maybe they're not looking in for a solution, they are looking in for a person who wants to listen, maybe.
Amazing. Yeah, maybe we will never know. The thing is, by listening, you are enabling that person then to share that. And sometimes ventilating, verbalizing is so powerful.
Yeah.
And then you can decide to ask some other questions if, and only if, maybe that person just wanted to throw all of those stuff at you, and then they continue with their day. Wow, you listen. And then if you can then do something else about it, magnificent. You can also take all of that information and then check on that person. So how is it going? What you spoke to me about the other day. And it's a lovely follow-up. And I'm always speaking about clients because I love the people I work with. And then I remember those things. And then it's just, okay, so I remember, Akshita, you mentioned to me this the other day, or Divya, okay, what's going on? Fantastic. Who else would like to share one thing you're taking away so far?
Leaving positive effect on people, which plays a very important role, because they will remember, and they will remember the lesson they got it from.
Amazing. And people like attracts like. If you're positive, you attract positive people to your life. And then even if you attract the negative people, you can help them because you're positive. Okay, this is not just positive thinking. This is just having a deeper purpose inside. Yeah, it's just like, what drives me? Yeah, I want to achieve something with my life. I want to, impact others. When I go to work, yeah, I get my job done, but what else? What's the higher thing that I'm doing for the rest? Anybody else?
To observe and indulge into small talks. Build small talks.
Yeah, small talks can be powerful if we actually listen and create that environment. If mutual responsiveness, I could say, or it can be mutual support. But I love the mutual responsiveness because when we have that level of conversation, I never done it, but I like the tango. I like to see the tango like dun dun, and there's that perfect synchronization between the two parts. Amazing things happen when that takes place. Anybody else? What's happening at the Advocates? Lovely people around there. What have you got to share with us?
So mainly what I think I grasp, that is the intention to listen the other person.
The intention to listen to the other person. Did I hear correct? Yeah?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that we can know what he is thinking and we can connect to him deeply. Also, we can compound the connection rather through listening and listening intentionally, not just for the purpose of asking.
Exactly. You see, we keep on speaking about intention, and intention can be translated as purpose as well, or the why you're doing something exactly. Powerful. Let me share with you something which is going to be the first slide of the day. Woo! I'm excited. Not too excited. Maybe I am. Right. So this is it. And I'll explain to you quickly what this is, okay? Because if you go all the way up, you're going to see purpose. But remember, when we started interacting today, we started speaking about the bottom part of the pyramid, which is the environment, which is, what it's outside. Pay attention to the external, pay attention to how, what I'm wearing, because all of that says something about me. So whenever you're interacting with a person, these are the levels from which, as humans, we interact from. Okay, we've got the environment, we've got the behavior level, which is how I carry myself. Then we have skills and capabilities, what I know, what I say, how I do things, how I manage, for instance, these sessions live, how I ask the questions. And as we go up, it can be seen as going up or going deeper as well, as if you were peeling the onion and going for the core, for the juicy bit. Then we go up to beliefs and values. And now we're getting into a deeper area here. And we tend to share our beliefs and values when we speak. And it's just when we go to the active listening, or really listening, paying attention, it's also to spot these things. What does that person believe in? Values. What is important about, about this for them, or what's important for them? What drives them? Then we go to identity, which is who are we? And some people say that the identity changes. Of course, I mean, I'm speaking now, so I've got the hat of a trainer, but I'm also the husband, because then I share things about my family. I'm the son, I'm the grandson, I'm everyone in one. And I'm happy to go and expose everything that I am, because then that has got a cascade effect towards everything else that I do. And finally, the purpose, the big why. So once we begin to understand that in others, and we get curious, and sometimes it's not only about asking the question, what's your purpose? But you can tell by the person's behaviors, what they do, what they believe, how much connectedness there is. And the more you identify these elements, the more you can help. Imagine if you believe that time is limited, for example, just an example, and you go to work and then time is limited, and then you've got only 8 hours, and then, I'm going to sense that, and you put maybe one of those stressed out persons that, are not going to be able to finish things, during the day, and life is too short, and you carry all of that with you. Well, by knowing that, I can coach you, I can help you changing that, because that's going to help you changing that behavior. What if you believed that, yeah, even though time is limited, you have only got so much time every day. So how do you want to spend it? Just worrying about work or doing something else? Once that person makes a shift at that level, they start changing how they behave. And as good listeners, we can impact all of these levels. And the more clued up we get, because we practice, because we want to create a connection, the more we can help each other. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, another angle to effective communication. Because in a way, you are supporting the other person, and that other person that is working for you, with you, I'm thinking about work or a client, they're going to love you. They're going to be around you. You are the person that helps, that supports, that knows, that understands. I always take this with me. By the way, if you like this, I'm happy to share it with the team, and then the team can share it with everybody else at Kshita. Feel free to share this, because these are questions as well that you can ask. What's important about you, or who are you sometimes? How do you do? How do you do what you do? It's key. Whenever you spot excellence in others, put it this way. I'm gonna stop this, so I want to see more of you. I'm going to stop this. One of the best ways to build instant rapport, not with the intention to manipulate, with the intention to learn. And that's, by the way, some of the things I speak about in my TEDx. You go and appreciate what something does. In the same way, Vipika, I'm going to pick on you again. In the same way I admire your smile and how you interact, at this Zoom level, I can get very curious and ask you, from that pyramid, what do you believe about a Zoom call? Or what do you believe about this kind of interaction? And what do you think is behind the smile? And what do you think is creating that smile every time? What's happening? You are going to start giving me your strategy, how you do that, consciously or unconsciously, so I can replicate it. I can begin to think, oh, she believes this. This is what's important to her. I never thought about it this way. Tiny things. If you see somebody that types really quick on the keyboard, that's excellent, something you can model. If you know somebody that gets along very well with people, if you see somebody that can speak in public and loves it, if you see somebody that's good with numbers, anything, there are no limitations apart from the ones we created. So how about we build this sort of network, and instead of as and when, we decide again to create those spaces in which we go and connect. We go and appreciate the things that, we do well. We go and think, yeah, or what else would you like to improve? We have those levels of conversations. I'm a coach, and I need coaches in my life. And I have this amazing friend. We don't speak often. And we decided that we speak, actually, believe it or not, as and when. So we don't put any pressure that we have to do it, but as and when. But when it happens, it's about 20 minutes to half an hour in which all we do is laugh. We laugh at everything we say. We don't plan it, it just happens. And he's the kind of guy similar to Adarsh. He's obviously blocking his smile at the moment. But, when we go, it's just like, Jose, and he speaks, Jose, I just got this smile. It's just like, mate, I can't help it. I'm smiling, I'm laughing with you. Taking huge pressure off. He's in a very high level of responsibility within Europe. And then we have that conversation in which we take, because when we smile, new chemicals are being released in the brain, and we relax, and we get, stress goes out and everything else. That we can do via Zoom. I do it because I call him. He's in Belgium at the moment, so I call him. And sometimes all I can say is just this. And sometimes, if he's drinking coffee, it's similar to others. I can only see like, hey, hold on a second, and there you go again. So this is more about the kind of connections we can get during work, before work, outside work. But keeping it here. Being conscious that you can impact each other's lives by, making that time, or being aware, appreciating what the other person does. And there is a guy, going back to the books I read, which, by the way, I don't read tons of books, but the ones I really like, I sort of revisit and play around with them and recreate my own stories in my head. I'm one in a million, aren't I? This one, oh, sorry, just got something else in there. Gotta be careful. Letters from my wife, I'm gonna hide that one. This one, for example, and you may have heard about How to Win and Influence People from Dale Carnegie, and this is the How to Do It in the Digital Age. And remind me, why did I want to share this with you? I lost it. That letter from my wife put me off. What was I going to highlight? Akshita, sorry. Can you help me? Remind me. I lost it. Things that can happen. Anybody else got a clue? Yeah?
So you were just showing your book collections to us, stating that you don't read all of them, but yeah.
Yeah, and then there was an element in this book that I wanted to highlight. But hey, this is a good opportunity for you to remind me later on. You can connect with me and ask me, what was it? And I'm sure I'll remember it. I'm not going to tell you about the letter. Who put the letter in there? Well, hey. Right, that one threw me. Okay. Because it's just the one thing that you want to share, and that happens. It used to happen to me when I did public speaking. When I lived in Spain as well, I always share the story. I'm in front of an audience, not thousands of people, but a good 100 and something, yeah? And it was like a theater, and I stood up, and I just went, so because nothing came out. It was the General Assembly, year end, and I had to say, I'm sorry, and I went and sat down. It can happen. Of course, I didn't like it back then. I laugh about it now because I still haven't remembered what I wanted to share with you about that. But hey, things happen. So, I'm only human. I do like this one in a minion thing. And it wasn't my idea. It was a present that I got recently. And I thought, let me wear it because, that just says something about me. It's just kind of, I'm relaxed when it comes to these interactions. Right. So we've got, I think, am I right to say that we've got 20 minutes left?
Yes, Mr. Ucar.
Yes, Jose. Thank you,
Jose.
Akshita. Thank you. Yeah, remember we're taking this time to, connect at this level because that's my identity. I'm Jose. I'm not Mr. Jose for me. So what are you going to do differently now? And I would like to start with the advocates team. What are you going to begin doing differently now? Okay, think about it. That's okay. No need to answer yet. Because on its own, think about the questions that you can ask people as well, your teams. What are you going to start doing differently now? It's a leading question towards change, right? Also, what have you learned in the way in which I deliver things if you've been curious? What can I take from it? Or what can you take from the people that have shared their thoughts? Okay, so it's like, picking the best of each one of us, put it all together, and then, yeah, what am I going to do differently now? Tan. Advocates, over to you.
So from now on, the thing that I learned, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask questions to know a deeper thing which I was not aware about a person. With my colleagues, with my family, there are certain things which they think within, but they never express it. So I'm going to explore those things so that I get to know them a bit more than I know them at the moment.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And explore. That is key, because we tend to express most of the time at a superficial. And then when we start asking questions, we go deeper and really finding what's the meaning behind what we say. Apply to anything in life. And I will always go to customers because, in the end, we interact with customers a lot. 80% of the time, we're working or with the team. Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I like the fact that you took it to your family as well. Should I assume that you could do the same on a Zoom call like this?
Advocates?
Did you hear me over there?
Advocates, Jose is audible to you?
Yeah, that makes you practice. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So there was a problem in the voice, I guess. The voice was cracking earlier.
Okay,
Things
okay,
are not audible.
okay.
Okay. You lost me on that last bit. What was
Yes.
the? Yes. Okay. Yes. Sorry. Okay. Perfect. Great. And I don't know if you've noticed this. I've got the earphones, so it doesn't. I mean, if I get closer to the screen, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be listening better. Does it? No. And yet it's got. It wasn't on purpose. I just noticed as you were saying, I look a bit silly just getting closer to the screen as if I'm going to hear better. And yet it's down to, how interested I am or we are in hearing each other. And it's just, a natural thing. And I can be quite auditory as visual as well. But sometimes you say, yeah, what are you saying? I really want to listen to you. And I'm left-handed. So I go, oh my goodness. And again, it is impossible not to communicate. Our body shares so much. Some theories say, depending on the moment of the communication, even up to 80% or 90%. Actually, the theory says 93, I think. Right, fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing. Anybody else? What are you going to start doing differently after listening to this? Yeah, this guy, the minion.
So I think communication is the key for every solution, whether it is professional or personal.
Thank you very much, Pooja.
Yes.
Please come and work with me. That's what I want to tell everybody. It is the key. Communication,
Yeah.
and then I would add communication and mindset. But then communication is a reflection of what we think as well. So hey, they're all
Yes.
connected. Cool.
Yep.
Thank you. Anybody else? What are you going to begin doing differently, or any comments?
Adapt to the learning and be consistent.
Okay. Be consistent. Be consistent in what way, Divya? Just to go a bit deeper. In what way? It's another good question.
Okay, so say for example, if I learn something from observing on a Zoom call, maybe some habit or something, then I need to be consistent in making it a habit on day-to-day life, or being consistent in adapting that.
Thank you very much for sharing. As you can see, obviously, if we decide to, we can all learn from each other as well. That's the beauty of having everybody sharing. And I have, okay, I'm getting closer because I'm reading your name. You'll correct me as I say it. Abhishek?
Abhishek.
Abhishek.
Abhishek, yes, correct.
Abhishek. No, you're muted. Oh, Abhishek, you're muted. Yeah, we cannot hear you. Let me see if I can unmute you from here. One sec.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Cool.
audible? Yeah, actually, I was just listening. It was very engaging, and the thing is, like, the way you were speaking about the communications and all. It was communication definitely the key of like every solutions, like whether you have to put in your work or in your personal life. And this is the something that we have to learn exactly, especially in this era, like where the people like try to like avoid everything, and like try to find the alternatives instead of putting their efforts to communicate each other. So I feel like, okay, yeah, communication is the key.
Cool. Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing. And I'm going to be, again, opening up. I like to be vulnerable. I didn't mention your name before because I was trying to work it out in my head. Because
It's very long.
No, the name, no. I'm the wrong guy here because I'm the one coming from, Venezuela, the other end of the world. You guys are fine.
Okay.
Right. Okay. You mentioned something very interesting in there, which is the engagement, right? Very engaging.
Yeah.
Okay, so I like to summarize a communication engagement or connection interaction in 4 steps. So you have the engagement, okay? You go and engage in a certain way. That's it, how you go and present yourself. Then that is going to leave an impression, okay? And the best outcome is that that impression is positive or as positive as possible. And as you continue to interact with that person, the positive impression continues to build up. That leads to trust. And what happens when there is trust? Then that's when people, open up a bit more, that when customers tend to buy from us or we get recommended. And then finally, if you take it a level higher after trust, there is influence. Influence to me is the highest level of connection, in which we get people to take action towards something that is beneficial for them. And if we're negotiating, for example, that is beneficial for us as well. Always keeping that in mind. Fantastic. Anybody else? I want to hear you. We've got 10 minutes, so I think we've got good time for you guys to share, and then we'll wrap up.
Hi, Jose, Prasad here. One very important thing which you have mentioned about the curiosity. So this is my personal experience, which I would like to share. I heard this somewhere that, when we are interacting with someone new, we have not, for example, we have not spoken with that person in our lifestyle, and this is the first time we are speaking with that person. We have, everyone has got that fear that whether this conversation will go right or not, whether that person will like it or not. But most of the time, it is proved that, when we start conversation, we start conversation with that particular person, it goes well. So as you mentioned, the curiosity, definitely that is going to help us, to me as well, that, if we observe the things and accordingly we start asking the question, definitely that is going to help us a lot.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And also to add, based on my experience, when I'm curious about the other person, really, I want to find out, then I'm not thinking too much about being approved or being liked, which can be detrimental if you think about it. Detrimental. It doesn't really support, because I don't really know, Rashmi, what you're thinking about me now. And, if you smile a little bit, I guess you like me. If you have got that kind of cat face in which I'm not interested, and then maybe you don't. And yet I don't know exactly what's going on in your mind. So I can decide, to make an assumption that doesn't help the communication, or I can get curious and find out what's really behind that. Again, just an example, not to say that you have got cat face. And cat face, by the way, is an analogy that I use for communication. There is the people that are very dog-like I am at the moment. And then the cat, which can be me when I get crossed about something, or when I want to make a point that's very important. And then, things can change in my behavior, in my tonality, in my body posture. And that's flexibility when it comes to communicating. And that can be another topic for another day, cats and dogs analogy. Or if you like Kung Fu Panda, who likes Kung Fu Panda or knows about Kung Fu Panda? Well, it's the Kung Fu Panda tigress analogy. Yeah. The Kung Fu Panda, the likable guy, everybody likes him, but maybe you wouldn't trust him to do a certain job. And then the tigress, not very likable, maybe, but then credible. And we can, play around with those behaviors because they are behaviors. Some of them are traits that are, of course, in our face, but then we can change them. We can play with the tonality. That's for another day. Going back to influencing for the positive as well. Always for the positive. Anybody else before we wrap up and say ciao, ciao, goodbye? It's been a pleasure.
Jose, I have a. It's nothing related to whatever you've said. I just wanted to know what inspired you to do what you're doing it, and of course, it's. I you would have thought something that okay, I want to do it now. So when was that, and what made you do this? Get into this.
You mean like what I'm doing at the moment, right? Presenting and speaking about communication.
No, overall, the coaching thing, okay, the speaker thing is something I wanted to know.
Thank you very much for that question, because that goes personal, that goes deep within me anyway. It was a divorce. I got divorced, so I had that failure. I was living back in Spain maybe about 7 years ago now, and I had the life I wanted, and I built it and everything else. And I realized, I wasn't following my purpose, and everything sort of, disappeared. Mm-hmm. And it ended up in a divorce, in, losing my house and everything that I had and loved back then. So I decided to repurpose. Went up, all the way up. What do I want to do? It's not about me anymore. When it was only about me, I found that it was empty and I didn't like it. I experienced it. Yeah. Now I decided, let me just give. Let me just learn and share my knowledge through who I am, in my style, have a bit more of fun in the process, and live a life that is more congruent with who I am and who I want to be. Because I'm always thinking, how am I evolving? How am I changing? How am I impacting others? So it goes all the way up to purpose. When we sort out the purpose, everything else sort of starts making more sense. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it pretty much does, and I also have a follow-up question for that. And how do you manage in the negativity coming in, because of course you mentioned you had a rough time. So how did you manage to what did you do to get that negative energy out around you, and even now of course there would be you must be facing in the heat. So how do you manage to do that?
Thank you very much for asking those questions. And in a way, you are eliciting the strategies, what I do to deal with these circumstances. And I would say, I always have, this is my analogy, okay? It may change later on. I was presenting the other day, and this is me on a daily basis, yeah? I'm driving on a very bumpy road. This is me every day. It doesn't change, okay? This is just me driving on a bumpy road, which is my life, my journey. And I'm always finding a new pair of shock absorbers to change, and I continue. So every day represents a challenge from the moment I wake up. And what do? I have certain rituals that I don't always apply, but most of the time I follow. One, some kind of meditation, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes. And that meditation doesn't have to be somebody telling me, oh, go, and if you go with the river and flow. It can be that one, or it can be mine, in which, as I listen to this music, I begin to think about what I want more proactively. Because what happens, as you said, there's a lot of negativity, and our mind seems to be wired in a way that, out of the 80,000 thoughts that we have per day, around 80% are negative. So it's that continuous exercise as I'm on my bumpy road, just changing the shock absorbers, just adapting and playing with this more and more, finding what I want. Meditating, I'm going to be honest, I meditate, I take cold showers. I've been doing fasting as well. So I do intermittent fasting sometimes. I practice appreciation, gratefulness, gratitude. Yeah. So a lot of gratitude every time I can, every time, even if I have a cat at home, And while my wife is away and I'm by myself, I just hug that cat and give him love. Something as simple as that keeps me grounded, because the key is to stay grounded and then be able to manage what comes my way. I like to say that we can decide on a daily basis, minute by minute, to be at cause or to be at effect. When we are at effect, we are on the passenger seat. So life, is taking its course, and I'm not even driving on the bumpy road. I'm being dragged on that bumpy road. The opposite.
Okay.
So I always decide to be at cause. And there are more things that I'm sure I do that, it's just part of my daily reflection. It's deciding, going back to the purpose, whatever happens, I want to be able to wake up and keep on doing what I like to do. It's a daily routine.
So
Thank you for
more
asking.
it's more of like, no matter how hard the past day has been, like, you always have to get up and just keep on doing what you believe in, right?
Yes. And on top of that, I have an analogy, which is, and this comes from my book. Don't ask me which one. Again, you saw what happened. It's, that I came on a boat, to an island. And yeah, I mean, the UK is an island, but the island for me. And as soon as I arrived to that island, I burned the ships. So for me, there's no other way. I cannot go back. I'm always moving forward. Or even if I'm standing still, I'm there. I cannot go back because there are no ships and I'm going to drown. So metaphors work a big deal, big time, if we create the right ones for us, because they represent a reality in our lives, and we can decide to keep on replicating that if it helps. It's just like, quickly, because this one came to mind. I once saw myself like a river. Yeah, and I decided to take that as, and as I go through the rocks and everything else, nothing can really stop me, but I remain flexible. And then that helps me. When I think of that, I reconnect. It's finding our own ways, playing around with what works and with what doesn't as well. And what doesn't, then, okay, I put it aside.
Yeah, great. And how like, how much importance would you give to improvisation while while doing your own thing? So how important do you feel improvisation is, reaching on the way to the top, which, like, of course, everyone to be?
Oh, okay. I'm finding my own interpretation for your words. That's what I'm doing. Seeing what, okay. So, to me, that is flexibility. I deal with flexibility.
Okay.
So as I'm being flexible, no matter what comes my way, I know I will deal with it. So yeah, it can be improvisation, because sometimes you don't know what's going to happen. But then by having a belief, going back to the pyramid beliefs, I believe that there is no failure. No matter what happens, there is no failure, only feedback, there is only learning. So that puts the pressure off. Okay, so as you come in my way, whatever the situation is, I handle it one way, maybe next time another way, and I'm always learning. As I'm learning, I can then improve that. Flexibility, yeah, going back to that improvisation. I like the improvisation because it gives me certain freedom, but then I also like to prepare. So it's that internal preparation to improvise externally, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
You're making me think a lot. This is not the whole idea of this.
well, if I make you think, like, that's like, of course, I'll be able to take in more from your end. So that's what I intend to do.
Fantastic. And that's the whole purpose of these things. And as you have experienced, you can ask the same types of questions to anybody. If you take, how long has it taken us? Maybe 5 minutes. We've been exchanging ideas here. 5 minutes of your day. And how much can we all learn? Can we all reflect? This is powerful. It's our decision. Thank you very much. Dan Raj.
Yeah, Dan Raj.
Dan Raj. Okay, guys, I promise I'll be practicing this. Dan Raj. Thank you so much.
yeah, no, I am. It's completely fine. It happens. I am usually in contact with a lot of international centers, so yeah, it's fine.
Well, it's just like in the UK, they have even called me Josie.
Yes, they do. They, like, as you, I believe you're Latin.
Yeah, I'm Latin.
I believe you're Latin, right? Yeah. So yeah, of course, so pronunciations do play a role.
They do. I mean, and I'm okay with most of it, going back to my identity. But when they call me Josie, then I go say, no, it's Jose. If you want to call me Jose, okay. But Josie, just like somebody else. Right. Lovely people. We are on the dot, 12:30. We spent an hour and 1 minute together. So is there anything else you would like to share? If not, I'll pass on to Akshita to wrap this up and send us to a better place. Too much pressure, Akshita? Better place? No, you don't want to send us there? Okay, so that's it. So do I wrap it up? Do I say goodbye to everybody, or any final words from anybody? Divya? I don't know, guys. You are the ladies in charge here.
So I really enjoyed, and you kept us entertained, by one way or the other. But I'm still curious about the book. Why did you pick up that book? You were connecting to which topic? So that is the curiosity you're leaving us with.
Okay, Divya, I'm sure we'll come back, and I've got you on WhatsApp, so I'll let you know.
Jose?
Yeah?
I am so sorry to interrupt you in between. Actually, Adarsh would like to ask you one question. His microphone is not working.
Okay.
So he just wanted to ask you, how do you pass energy while communicating with other person?
I love you guys. Speaking about energy and communication, just what I like. We are, as I see ourselves, as parabolic antennas. And we are broadcasting emotions every second. Every time we interact, we are conveying emotions. If after this session you feel a bit better, then overall it's been a positive experience. The emotions have been conveying and that have been created and that we have been exchanging are positive. The opposite can happen as well. How we're doing it, it can go down to a neural coupling and things that are working in our brain or the unconscious level, which I know enough, but I wouldn't exactly know what's happening within each neuron and things like that. But then we are conveying emotions. When we are sad and we communicate, that comes across and that has an impact on the other person. That's why, going back to the rituals and things like this, it's important for me to be, I wouldn't say, peak state, but that changes because I'm not the same every time. So it's managing my state, being as congruent as possible, being the best version of myself every time I go out. And I would like to be the best version of myself even when I don't go out, so my wife gets to enjoy that as well. And it's the daily bumpy road thing. And then, I don't get slapped though anymore. Hope that answers the question. Anything else, lovely people? And if not, I'm more than happy to say goodbye. Connect with me, find me on the social networks. You know my name now, Josie, so you will remember that. And always happy to support, to, provide an hour of my time in this manner. And thank you very much. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you so much, Jose. It was indeed a very informative, yet very fun session. So we like interacting with you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, and wish you an amazing day. It is Friday, so enjoy your weekend as well. Even if you're working, that's okay. Enjoy it. Now you've got new tools, don't you?
Thank you so much, Jose.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.